Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers? Happy Thursday. One more day. Weekend's here. 48 hours from now, I'll be seeing Stevie Nicks with my girls. So, of course, today's music fact and tomorrow's will be about the Queen. All right, to date, Stevie Nicks remains the only woman to have 2 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions. Her first was in 1998 for Fleetwood Mac, and her second was just in 2019 as a solo artist. Pretty awesome. So tomorrow, the episode's going to be pretty late. I have to take my grandmother for an MRI at 5 p.m., so I'm not going to be able to get it done before I leave to take her. So it will be a very late one. And that's just the name of the game when your Grammy's 88 and she is your ride or die. All right. Big thank you to Victoria for the donation. And I can just say, had the cameraman today for 2 hours of text messages being read by none other than the Queen witness, Miss Julia from BCI. If he had zoomed in on those text messages, I would have had this episode out and probably would be in my warm bed right now. But for some reason, he kept the camera panned out, except for maybe twice. So I just got finished transcribing all of that, 2 hours worth. First, it did not start with that. And before we get started, if you guys remember on a past episode, Angela was talking about why she said she blocked Hanna May on Facebook, saying that she couldn't stand to look at the profile picture that Hanna May had up. And I have it for you. So I have Sophia's face blurred out, but this is the picture that Angela could not stand looking at it. Why? Because Hanna May looks relaxed and happy. And if you could see Sophia's face, Sophia was very happy too. And I'm sure that ate all of them up. And we will see that progression in these text messages of Hanna May moving on. All right, but up first, Agent Scheider. He decided to purchase replicas of all of the different firearm components that Jake had purchased to build the silencers. And I'm actually trying to get these witnesses' pictures kind of off the middle of the screen. Sorry, y'all. Let me just do this real quick. There we go. And so I kind of thought, oh no, man, here comes another day of like silencer talk. Now, here's the thing. The jury is a majority of women. And hey, women know about guns and all that stuff. But 2 days of silencer parts, you might have lost the jury. So this wasn't super long, thank goodness. But Agent Scheider decided to purchase the replicas of some of the items that they saw Jake had purchased in preparation for the murders, making those homemade silencers. They also got the DVR from Walmart and compared it to the one in the burn pit that they found at Peterson Road at one of the search warrants. He also bought a 1911 22 Walther Colt gun in October of 2018, and they did not rebuild the silencers because, well, that's a felony. I guess if you're BCI, you still can't rebuild them. They also purchased the bug detector bought on George's credit card and replicas of the Walmart shoes that Angela had bought. They got the brass catcher, bait nets, ammo, everything. So I didn't know this, but there was actually a search done on Bethel Hill Road in July of 2017 that Agent Scheider was present for. They knew the Wagners had not lived there since 2014, but number one, with it being a previous residence that they lived at, and also they still had access to that property because Frederica Wagner owned it. They wanted to search to make sure nothing in relation to the murders were dumped there. They didn't find anything of value, but if you are on YouTube, you can see the remains of the house. They showed a prescription for trazodone. It was in George's name, but then again on cross, they couldn't say if it was George the Third or George the Fourth. What I thought was interesting is there is a hospital band for Hanna May there with a date of March 14th, 2014. Not sure what that was about, but we know she had Sophia in November, I believe, of 2013. They found some trail cams and also a few other little things that we'll talk about here in a second. And so, um, let's see here. There was a trailer buried on the property. It was buried on a hillside. And so after Alaska, they moved to Angela's dad's house, as we know, and Billy went to live with Frederica at Flying W Farms. So once back in Ohio, they had a poll camera. The police and investigators set up these poll cameras that allows them to monitor the residences in real time from an office. And at some point, they did a search warrant of Angela's dad's house in August of 2018. And they did this because they got information that there were threats against law enforcement officials, including Agent Scheider and Attorney General Mike DeWine. They also found Google searches related to forgery, and they recovered devices from those locations. There were Google searches from Angela's device with Agent Schneider's name Google. That's scary stuff. They also got devices from Flying W Farms, and there were Google searches for histories of the penalty for lying to a grand jury and also lying to BCI. There were a ton of objections. Parker couldn't throw them out fast enough today. When they got back to Ohio, Jake and George got new driver's licenses, and they actually used Angela's mother, Rita's, old addresses that they had never lived at. So on cross, Parker says he has them pull up the photo of Bethel Hill of that pill bottle of George's. He asked if they know it's for Billy or George, and he didn't know. Parker says this is an antidepressant, and he says, I don't know. So we talked about the buried trailer, and he asked Scheider to describe it. And it was a shipping trailer buried on a hillside, and it was used for storage. And Parker asks if he knew Billy was a doomsday prepper. This is like crossover to Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell. And he said he was actually storing things in preparation for the end of the world. And all I can hear right now is that song by REM. It's the end of the world as we know it. Billy had a special vest made that could carry firearms, and Parker says asked if anyone talked to the vest maker. And Scheider's like, not me. Parker's like, you didn't talk to the vest maker? He's like, not me, but somebody did. Parker said, you just said the bug detector was purchased with George's credit card when in fact, Angela told you she purchased the bug detector. There's objections. Parker mentions the trail cam and says, you're aware people use them to hunt deer. He says, yes. So on redirect, Canepa says, it wasn't Canepa up today. When they did the Bethel search, they collected multiple cameras and collected nothing of value. He said, that's correct. And Recross, you don't know who bought what. That's correct. So next witness, Matt White, BCI, gun expert, epic beard dude is what I call him. They put up a photo of the diagram from Chris Senior's that shows where the casings were found. He has an ammo box given to him on the stand that has the 7.62 30 caliber bullets. And he examined projectiles from Chris Senior's house, and he shows the fired 30 caliber bullets found inside the residence. Now, we know the 30 caliber bullets came from when Jake was shooting at Chris, or allegedly, well, no, he admitted it. He was shooting at Chris from underneath the truck towards the inside of the house, which I'm 100% convinced when Billy ran out of that house screaming like a little girl, it wasn't because he had just shot his best friend. It was because he was probably, he knew what was whizzing past his head is what it was. On the diagram here, which I'll put a link in the description for those of you who are listening that want to see, I did grab screen grabs of the actual projectiles, but they were blurry. So they're just showing where all those fired 30 caliber bullets ended up. And so those bullets actually weighed more than normal even after being fired. So when a bullet's fired, it causes them to kind of lose a little weight. But this type of 30 caliber ammo is just made heavier. They're in the bottom right corner of that screen, unfired, how they look when they come new. He shows the cartridge case to the jury. He drops a couple, does a couple of minutes of laughter in there. And he said there was dirt covering the head stamp and the cartridge, so he cleaned it up. And he compared that casing to the reference ammo, and it was the same. So we know that this was the ammunition that Jake had bought. And then he shows a photo of a jacket. So you can see how big. I mean, those bullets were huge. So Julia's back up on the stand, and here we go with all these texts. And I'm going to tell you right now, listening to this probably for a total of 5 hours straight, just text-wise, rewinding every 5 seconds to make sure I can get it all down. It's really triggering to read these because Jake is such a narcissistic mental and physical abuser. And the cycle that you see in these text messages are kind of textbook of somebody who is an emotional abuser and narcissistic. It switches from "I love you so much, I don't know how to live without you" to just telling her essentially she's a bad mom. And one thing that I did find, and this is kind of how the text looked when he even zoomed in. So unless you got like crazy, amazing vision, you can't even make it out. There was a couple of times that he zoomed in on a few. But here's one thing that I do want to show you. So Hanna May's Facebook is still open. It's an in remembrance page like they do nowadays. But if you go to her Facebook page or her Instagram page, it's so full of things that you see why she felt the way she did once we read these text messages. One of these things says she'll be all right, just not tonight. One of them says some of the most important life lessons are the ones we end up learning the hard way. One says her eyes, they used to shine so bright. Forget what hurt you, but never forget what it taught you. But then you also see that cycle of people call it jealousy. I call it fear of losing you. That moment when you burst out crying alone in your room and you realize that no one truly knows how unhappy you are because you don't want anybody to know. And then one that said, my heart is not a playground. Go play somewhere else. There were plenty more where that came from, but it does give you, I think, a really good insight into the absolute pain that and the trauma that she had from being in this relationship with Jake and having a child with him, which adds a little bit of weight to saying goodbye because you're still connected through that child and you have to interact on a regular basis. So when one person is narcissistic and abusive, oftentimes they use that child or your role as that child's parent against you. So let's get started. They found these text messages from the laptop at the Montana border. And some of these are before Hanna May had Sophia, but she was pregnant at the time. So these go from October 13th through October the 15th, October 13th, 2013 until 2015. So you're looking at about a 2-year span here and you see the progression. But then again, it kind of starts out the way it ends in a way too. All right. So this is October 21st, 2013. We know Sophia was born in November. So this is shortly before Sophia's born. Jake says, I'm fixing my truck so Sophie can ride with me because I'm the one taking you to the hospital and bringing you home from the hospital. Hanna May, I think me and you need to live together by ourselves. Jake says, I love you too. Hanna May says, I'm not playing. Me and you need to get our own place. And Jake said, well, I should have by summer. October 22nd of 2013, Jake, I know, but we really need to talk to your dad. Talk to your dad into the homeschooling because you're not going to like me if I take Sophie for 2 weeks at a time and take her to Alaska for 3 weeks. So you need to talk to him. Now, Sophia is still in the womb at this point. Hanna May says, okay. Jake says, and I love you, but I just hope you go with me either way. Because if If you don't, you'll only get to see me once or twice a month till you're graduated. Don't you know that you'll get to see me? Do you know that you will get to see me when I pick Sophie up and drop her off? Hannah May says, nope. Jake says, how you figure? Hannah May says, not if I come down for 2 weeks. And Jake says, yeah, but your dad doesn't want you to do that. Hannah May, I know. Jake, but it upsets me because I don't know what you're going to do. Hannah says, you come stay tonight and we can talk about it. Jake says, well, you got to. If not, you won't get to see Sophie for 2 weeks at a time, and I want you to be with me those 2 weeks. So we jump to October 25th, 2013. Hannah May, what are you going to do if I go into labor tonight? Jake says, use mom's car, but I'll fix my S10 tomorrow. Hannah May says, please stay just in case because she's down pretty low right now. Jake said, no, honey, but if you call me if anything happens, and if you're worried about it, you need to stay with me at all times. Hannah May says, you can stay with me, and Jake says, no. His girlfriend is literally any day now going to give birth, but he can't leave his home for one night to stay with her because this is a kid. She's 15, 16 when she has Sophia. She's scared to death, I'm sure. November 4th, 2013. This is actually 2 weeks before Sophia's birth. Hannah says, I'm not telling you anything when I go into labor. You can find out yourself, not by me. If she comes and you're not there, that's your own problem. Jake said, I told you she is living with me now. You can live with us or not. That's your choice. And yes, I did want her. You just wanted to wait until you didn't have to say, oh, daddy, can I take my kid to the doctor? Am I grounded? And I love you, but I don't care if she's a baby or not. There are people with soft minds. So there will be no naked photos at all. If you don't want a onesie, she can have a different cover. I'm thinking maybe they're talking about the birth photos. Sometimes they do little, discreet ones, but they're naked. Hannah says she's not living with you. Her crib, etc., is at my house, and I paid half the crib. It's mine. All of her clothes are here except a little bit. It will be your worst mistake trying to take her from me, and you're the one that's going to miss out on your daughter's life because of your job. I don't care how much you make. Is that money ever going to be able to replace that time you missed in her life? No, it's not. I'll take myself to the doctor tomorrow. Don't need you to. Thanks anyway. Jake says, Hannah, I'm telling you right now, make a choice and make it now. If you do this, it's over. I'll take Sophie, and if I have to, by force. I love you with all my heart. I'll take her by force, this child that you're still feeling kick inside of you, and then I'm going to take her by force. It is so night and day, just right there, 2 sentences back to back. If you love me and Sophie, you will make the right choice. I want you to live with me and Sophie. That don't mean we have to stay at my house all the time, but she will live wherever I am. I'm doing my job for her. It's my responsibility to provide and give her the best life I can give her. Hannah said, whatever, good day to you. Jake said, I said it would be if you decided not to live with me. Read the whole thing. Hannah said, and you're not going to try and control me like you do Tabitha. I'm much smarter, and that will not happen. So you better get that through your head. I honestly don't care if you were raised that way. I'm not going to try and control me. You're not going to try and control me like I'm a little puppet. And then Hannah says, jailbait. I'm going to tell you right now, I have a new respect for Hannah May Roden after reading these text messages because she was caught in a very vicious, abusive cycle. And it is not a weakness when women cannot get out of that cycle. There are a million reasons women can't. Hannah May, being the teenager she was, when she decided she was done with the abuse, she was done. And she didn't mince words with him either. She was not afraid of him. She was not afraid of the Wagners. And that came through loud and clear in these texts. And I was just like, go, Hannah May. And it just makes you so sad to think with such a strong mind and a smart girl and what obviously we know that Sophia was robbed of having the most normal life with Hanna May. And also that Hanna May never got to reach her potential. She got pregnant when she was in her mid-teens by a guy much older. She never got a taste of the real world. She was a mommy first. And I think she would have done okay in this world. She definitely had a good head on her shoulders. I just have so much respect for her after reading these texts. Jake says, really, I do love you and you're not crap. And if you don't want to live with me, you don't love me. It's just guilt. Hannah, it was the plan, but in our own house, and you're trying to control me. Jake says, no, I'm not. And I have to build a house, Hannah, so I need the job. I'm not living there with your brother. Sophie ain't living there with your brother. At least no one in my house would hurt a baby or you. So I'm living at my place until I build a house with Sophie. You can live with me. If someone freaks out, we will leave and come back when it calms down. I'm not sure what happened there. I have no clue. Hannah says, I'm not having cursing, arguing, or fights around her. And Jake said, well, that's fine, but you better start with your own mouth first. Okay, is Chris gone? She says, no. Jake says, good, because I don't want him playing with her or holding her or around her. Hannah says, okay, well, I don't want a lot of things, but you don't always get what you want. He's my brother. You have to deal with him, but I done told him. Jake said, I told him he's not holding her. That's what he wants to say crap to me and you. He's made his bed. A simple sorry won't cut it. If he wants to hold her, he will have to earn it. And that will not happen overnight. So we jump to November 2013. On the 18th, Sophie is born. This is on the 28th, 10 days after the birth. Jake says, honey, Sophia has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. What are you going to do today? Because I could have spent time with her. I know, honey, I need money and it won't take long. I only have 8 days with her. Hannah says, stop sending me the same text. I'm not dumb. I was texting you back and my family has seen her twice in the 5 days she's been born, and yours see her every day. I'm not the bad person. You're trying to keep me away from my family. I love you with all my heart, but you don't even equal the nights out. It's always, we stay at your house where there's absolutely nothing to do, and try to make me feel bad about the whole situation. Jake says, when are you bringing her back? Hannah says, because war. I don't know, honey. Please stop being mean. I love you, and I'll bring her out in my escape after a bit. Love you, Stark, promise. Jake says, I know, but she needs to be with me, honey. I'm her dad. I do my part. I wake up for her. I feed her. I do just as much as you, except make milk. I only have 8 days and I'm already sad about leaving her. That's my job so I can support you and her. So we jump to December 10th, 2013. Hannah says, whatever, fine. Me and my mom will go to the doctor at TRYL. Jake says, Hannah, I wake up and feed her and do everything with her. And if you ever tell me you have full rights to her and I have none again, I will take her from you till we are married. And that's a year away. So think about that. I have every right to her. Hannah says, hey, I don't see where that came from. I get up with her more than you do. Gosh, am I supposed to stay up 24/7? I have to go get her meds. So how long? Then we jump to December 22nd, 2013. Hannah says, ask my dad if I can come over. Jake says, no, Hannah, I'm not. Sophia is staying with me. I'm not asking. Hannah says, you're asking for me to stay and not Sophie? Jake says, no, you can call and tell him I'm coming to get Sophie and want to make sure it's okay if you can go too. Hannah says, no, you can call and ask or I won't even go home. Jake says, Hannah, what do you want to tell your dad? What do you want to tell your dad? Hannah, stay. And if not, I'm coming to get Sophie, because if he says no, that's what I'm telling him. And yes, that's what I'll do. Sophie is my daughter, and while I'm home, she stays with me. I'm her dad. Hannah says, just ask if I can stay. Gosh. Jake says, Hannah, think of how you make me feel. Your dad is more important than me seeing Sophie. She is ours, and you should tell your dad you're a mom now and that you're spending time with me. When I'm gone, you will come home when I leave. Hanna says, well, get a different job. Jake says, no, Hanna, I make good money with my job. When will you be home? And honey, I love you, but your dad will tell you what to do until you tell him he can't. So I'm coming to get Sophie and you will come with me, or I will take Sophie and we will use my plan. You get to be the stay-at-home mom and we have to make this work. The only way we can be happy is if you have to make your own choices and I'm fair. Your dad is not. If you stay with me while I'm home, I'd stay with you at your house some of the time. Hanna says, I don't think you're taking her. I'll be home later. Why? Jake says, Hanna, Sophie is staying with me. I'm not doing you stay, I stay. I'll do 3 days, 1 day. Now, if you want me to call your dad, if he will say no, you can come with us or stay at your house. Hanna says, no, it's time to stay at my house. I'm sick of staying at your house all the time. I'm not staying at your house while I'm home. I'm not doing it. Sophie is staying with me, and this is Jake. And Hanna, if you're so worried about what your dad thinks, look at what you did behind his back. You had sex with me right after we got together and got 2 tattoos. Why can't you stay with me and Sophie like a freaking family while I'm home? Hanna says, F off. Bye. My phone is getting shut off. And Jake says, Hanna, you better think about that. So we jump to the next year, January 12th, 2014. Sophie's still an itty bitty baby at this point. Hanna says, well, if you move away, I'm not moving in with you until we have our own home. Jake says, really? What the heck happened to our plan that you would move in with me as soon as possible? Hanna says, nah, you can come move in with me. Jake says, nope, because I have to drive cut off my house and do everything. Hanna said, exactly. You will never move away from them. I'm not moving in with you ever. Jake said, I have responsibilities. I'm a country boy farm guy. I've told you this. This is a family business. You told me you would be my farm girl. What happened? Hanna says, nope, 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 nope. Jake says, well, that's what I'm doing. If you don't want to be a part of that, that's up to you. Guess you better cut off your finger now. You might be, I don't know, prove it to me. Prove it to me. But the other two, your mom will be raising the baby again, just like she has bovine. Jake says, driving, don't judge. Hanna says, I'm just being judgmental. You probably won't agree, but they should raise their own children. I will watch Sophia no matter what, even if I need sleep and there's milk pumped. Jake says, honey, mom just wants to spend time with Sophie. She doesn't get to as much as bovine. So one night won't hurt. Hanna says, I'll have another baby with you when you move in with me or live with me or us get our own home. And Jake says, that's not fair. Hanna says, yes, it is fair. Jake said, it's too long. Hanna said, sorry then, move in with me or buy a house trailer. Jake said, you just don't want another baby with me. I mean, this is 3 months, y'all, after she's given birth. She's probably like not even healed up yet. And you've got all this drama already. The drama's been there since before the baby was born. I mean, it's so sad for her because she's young. And, you know, you can have a kid and you're still a kid. Just because you have a kid doesn't mean that, you know, all of a sudden you're really grown. By the way, I'm putting this on the screen because at some point this comes in and it's very eerie because Hanna says, is this what you wish would happen? And it is a person, like a female figure with 4 guns pointed at that girl's head. Jake says, you're crazy. I am supportive. And just because we don't have a house don't mean we can't have a baby. I'm a good dad and can afford one more. January 31st, 2014, Jake says, where's your mom? Hanna says, she's west in Yin. I don't know what that is. Jake said, thought you were spending time with her. And Hanna said, nah, I'm just chilling. Jake says, don't you start that crap. You could be with me. That's BS, Hanna. Sophie don't need to be sitting there doing nothing. This baby's 8 weeks old. 8-week-old babies sit there and do nothing but eat and cry and spit up and poop. Jake Wagner. Moron. I mean, what's he going to do? Like, so stupid. So Hannah says she's sleeping. Hannah says, my mom wasn't home when my cousin picked me up. You're not my freaking boss. And yeah, I'm staying with my cousin in Kentucky tonight. Jake says, no, you're not. I'm staying with Sophie. Now, if you want to stay in Kentucky, you go right ahead, but Sophie can stay with me. But you're not taking my time with Sophie away because you want to stay with whoever. Hannah says, I'm done in Kentucky. Wow, you must not know how to read. Jake says, then I'll come get Sophie, but she won't stay there. Hannah says, sorry, not telling you where my cousin lives. Jake says, don't make me call your dad and tell him how it is. And if you don't tell me, I'll take Sophie and you won't get her back. Hannah says, my dad has nothing to do with this. I dare you to because you won't see Sophie. Jake says, we will see. So March 24th, 2014, Hannah says, okay, I miss you too. I need to go back to public school because I'm failing. So I'm going to start pumping this week. Jake said, okay, I guess it's up to you. Me and mom will watch Sophie, I guess. Hannah says, Jake, school is important just as well. Jake says, yes, honey, but you could do American. But it's up to you. But honey, if you want the truth, I don't want you going back to public school. I'll never see you. I honestly think he doesn't want her going back to public school because he's afraid she might flirt with other guys or realize that she had a baby with a jerk and wants out. Hannah says, okay, it's really a control thing though. He wants to be with her every second of every day, just like with Tabitha and George. So Hannah says, I love you. Okay, I won't, but I need to pass and graduate. So she gave it up because she was manipulated. January 25th, 2014, Jake says, quit being rude to mom. Hannah said, how was I? Jake said, well, you was, and God ain't too proud of you for cussing like that. Hannah, and I'm ashamed of you. Hannah said, good for you for being ashamed. I mean, he pulls religion in several times and God this and God that, and he needed Jesus at some point. September 30th, 2014, Jake says, okay, what time will you be home in the morning? If you get there early enough, Sophie can feed the pig. Hannah says, I don't know. I love you. Jake says, I love you too, but Sophie loved the piggies and farming, and I don't want her to have a two-sided life much longer. October 1st, 2014, Sophia is around 11 months, almost a year. Jake says, no, I did not. I didn't get to give Sophie and you a kiss bye. And Hannah says, yes, you did when you gave my food. I love you. Jake says, my gosh, honey, that was 7 hours ago. Don't you think I'd like to have Sophie help me on the farm? Hannah says, yes, I love you. Sorry. Jake says, well, next time she stays with me so she can help me with stuff. And I love you too. Hannah says, whatever. I'll just do photos when you ain't here. Remember, her and Frankie's ex-girlfriend were doing their own little photo business. There's a few that they still have a Facebook page up. I'll have to try to find that. Jake says, no, you don't have to do that. I don't want to take that from you. I just don't want you to take Sophie from me. October 2nd, 2014. Jake says, good night. Love you. Please don't disappoint me and go help tomorrow. Hannah says, you know, I'm a disappointment. Love you. Jake says, not if you try, and I'm going to sleep. We are in Virginia. Load at 9 a.m. Love you. Jake said, and why are you acting like this? Those bugs were partly on you, Hannah, and you don't just get a free ride out of responsibility. This is the real world. Nobody asked you to pay for it. Just do your share and get it ready and putting it back. Hannah said, yes, the bed bugs were my fault. Okay, they probably came from Joyce's house. I have nothing at my house. I've looked over and over again, so screw off. You make me feel like, and I'm so like crap. And I'm so sick of it. I love you. I can't take you treating me like this. Jake said, I love you, but I'm not treating you like crap. I'm trying to make you unlazy. You are an example for Sophie and not a good one half the time. Just gross. October 4th, 2014. By the way, next time I have a baby, I'm having a home birth. Oh boy, what do you think this causes, guys? Jake says, no, you're not. Hannah says, yes, I am. I talked to a midwife. Jake said, don't care if you want a baby with me, then it will be at a hospital. And that's that. If you argue about it, then no more babies. I'll be just fine with Sophie. Hannah says, why? Jake says, not safe for you or the baby, so no. And I mean it if you argue. Hannah says, why? Jake says, don't argue. Hannah says, not even texting you, and don't threaten me with not having any more children, but whatever. Jake says, just saw. Love you, but Sophie and our future baby's safety is my responsibility. Hannah, sweetheart, look it up. Hannah says, don't care, Jake, and it's just going to be me in the room next time. October 5th, 2014, Jake says, I love you too, but you need to take more responsibilities and you know it. Night, love you. Hannah said, I'm not somebody's robot who is programmed to be perfect. Jake says, no, you're a mom who is supposed to do everything she can to set an example to Sophie and help her husband with this farm. Hannah said, yeah, and I am a terrible one too. Sorry. I'll never be the person you want me to be. If you cannot accept that, then I don't know. I've tried to change, but I'm sorry. What does Jake say? Instead of saying, oh, you're a good person, you're a good mother, he says, try harder. Kick the lazy out of the window and start thinking. You don't have to do anything and you'll do just fine. You are the person I want to be with. Gosh, I swear, y'all, my ears are red. It makes my blood pressure go up reading this stuff. You are the person I want you to be, just sloppy at it most of the time. Hannah says, I honestly don't see why I should change for you. You honestly don't change for me. I love you with all my heart, and I couldn't see you with anyone but me, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm dying because you try to control me like your little robot, and honestly, it hurts down inside. You wouldn't understand. You don't have feelings or emotions. Pretty bold statement there, because for her, and a lot of narcissistic psychopaths are like that. I do think Jake has some kind of sociopath. I don't know. Something's really, really off with this whole flipping family. I mean, just putting it out there. Hannah said, like I said, honestly, I just don't know anymore. I just feel like there's a lot of cracks in our relationship, like a plate that slowly keeps cracking and is eventually going to shatter unless the people are willing to work. I just feel my heart has been torn into a million little pieces. Jake says, really? I'm not cracking. And I mean by sloppy that you are great for 4 days out of 7. You help out and do your share and are a great example. You rub my head. You get me drinks and food, but then you get lazy, sloppy, and don't want to do anything. Notice the me, all about me. Hannah said, I never really get to let my emotions out unless I'm mad. And we both know that. But lately, I've just been extremely sad, and I don't know why. But I suck it up and put a smile on my face every day and go on with my life. I don't like to be treated like a dog or like I should have been programmed to do something so perfect. That's just not who I am. I accept who you are, your lifestyle, etc. I don't try to change you on a daily basis like you do me. You want me to completely change who I am and everything. I'll never understand why you cannot accept who I am. I honestly don't know. I was such a horrible person, but I guess I was wrong about myself once again. It seems no matter how hard I try and do anything, I can never make it right. It always has to be something. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just have a lot of emotions built up inside, or what's wrong with me, but I'm just really hurt. And you hate to see that there because she's self-blaming as if this isn't Jake's fault. So she's in that pattern, and these text messages, I think, came at a good time when it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, because mental abuse is just as painful and harmful as physical abuse. Now, Jake did both, but you see here the manipulation of beating her down, convincing her she's nothing. And I think in return, he wants her to obviously change for him, but not only that, change in a way that benefits him and him only, not that benefits her. When partners are together and you see a change needs to be made, it needs to be expressed in a way of, this will be better for you. You know what I'm saying? Then when stuff's better with you, then it's better in the relationship, but it has to start with him. But he's got her convinced at this point. Obviously, she's at fault for everything. And it's just so sad to read. Hannah says, so just take 10 seconds and really think about what you say. You want me to completely change for you. I think I've come a long way. I don't drink, even though you try to get me to. I don't smoke, even though I think about it. I try my best not to curse, even though I do and I'm mad. And how far have you come for me? And she put a sad face. I honestly didn't know I was that bad of a person. I'm sorry. Oh boy. Jake said, the 4 good days you're a natural farm girl, and the other days you're like a spoiled city slicker. And all you ever said is you were a country girl, and that's what I aim to make you. You do try, and sometimes you don't. Just because you don't get it right the first time does not mean you should get mad and give up. And I did change for you. Too much to explain over text, but I did. And all I want is to take full responsibility of you, of and for you, and take care of you, buy you what you need and want. So you kind of see that abuse, but I'm going to be super nice to you. It's a cycle. You have the build up, the blow up, the honeymoon, and it's constant. The build up is it's coming. The blow up is the fight. The honeymoon is I'll do anything for you. And it's like you see that 3 or 4 times just in the context of these text messages. So all I ask in return is help like I ask, not be a robot. I love you, but being on a farm is work every day and it has to be done. It's a responsibility partly yours. You might as well be my wife and all that comes with me. So you want me, you got to take the farm too. Told you that from the start. I love you. I'm patient. I can wait. Maybe you'll get it one day. So we moved October 10th, 2014. Hannah says, I'm done. Maybe you should think about that. I'm sick of the way you treat me. I'll do what I want with my daughter. I have full custody. You have nothing other than what you think you have in your head. You guys have probably already talked to an attorney about that, but I don't give a rat's patootie. You just sit down there and watch that movie with your so-called family. I wonder what movie, The Boondock Saints. Ding dong. Also, I know it was delivered to you from Hannah. It's an emoji of a girl and the 4 gun emojis. That's that picture. And she says, is that what you wish would happen? And it is that picture of that gun right there is what you wish would happen for her to die. Wow. Also, I'm not doing anybody's stuff but mine and Sophia's from now on. That's it. I'm going on strike. You guys think I do nothing now? Wait for the days ahead. I got you. And she put that face emoji. You go, girl. And she gave some dates. It says 11/12/92, 4/7/97 means nothing anymore. That's obviously their birthdays, I think. You are a douchebag to me. I'm not perfect. Why should I have to act like a perfect person? Nobody in the house is perfect. We all make mistakes. We all fall down. Oh, wait, when Hannah does it, it's the end, she said, of the mother cracking world. So-called family, so-called family, so-called family, so-called family. October 29th. What? This is from Hannah. What? I just want to stay for one night. Can't you as well? I guess you're going to be mad. Well, why can't I just stay at my house for one day? You're fine. I'll be back tomorrow. Jake says, you will be fine, Hannah. You have her every day and I don't. And I'm the one that goes to work, not you. So when I'm home, I'm staying at my house and Sophie is. Sophie, now, I mean it. Hannah, you break this and we are don't. I won't pay for you or do anything for you at all. I'll be gone all week next week. You have plenty of time to spend up there. So that's another form of abuse, is to threaten to take away necessities or anything she needs. That's another scare tactic of sort of keeping people where they are. And I think the number one reason a lot of women don't get out of abusive situations is the financial aspect of it. They're dependent on the abuser's salary. So, and that's what Fruit Loop's doing, her little mission. She's providing safe houses for domestic violence victims. And I think after reading all this, it's really drives home the good work she's doing. I'm super proud of her. So March 15th, 2015, Hannah says, excuse, I'm not willing to change either are you. Jake says, we can work it out, Hannah. I still love you. Hannah says, I don't know. Jake says, we can have a cabin. I can go to college and get a job. Hannah says, I don't want to live on that property. I don't have to live 100 feet away from my dad. Why can't you do the same? March 16th, 2015. Jake says, Hannah, it's not you crawling back. I'm asking you to come back. Hannah says, I'm not Jacob. I told you eventually I won't want to come back, and that won't happen. Jake says, why won't you come back? And she says, because I'm getting my life on track and I need my space. But yeah, we aren't together. So by all means, be with whoever you want, but I'll keep it to myself. Jake says, and just how long do you think it will be before you want to come back? Because of course, abusers think that they can't live without the abuser and they will be back. Hannah says, probably a while. My college is 18 months. And Jake says, well, Hannah, I'm not going to tell you that I won't take you back because I do love you, but it will depend on what you tell me when you say you want to come back. March 18th, 2015, Jake says, yes, baby, we need to be a family. And Hannah says, why? Jake says, because we love each other and suds. How's my baby? Hannah says she's asleep. Jake says, oh, I really hope you see that we need to be a family. So March 9th, 2015, Jake says, I'm back. Why can't you just kiss me and tell me you love me? And he put a sad face. Those generic diapers are too small for suds. She wears Huggies and Huggies only. So you can go buy new diapers and get rid of those generic ones. Hannah says she doesn't have those. They're Pampers, but I'm in class, got to go. Jake says too small, buy Huggies, size 4 slip-ons. Jake says, you need to think about it, baby. And he puts a sad face. Baby, please, I love you. Don't you love me, please? I can't love anyone else. You're the only one. Don't want to be alone because I don't. We can make it work. We can be happy, sad face. Just the begging and the bartering. Hannah says, I don't want to be with you. You hurt me. Jake, baby, please. Jake says, baby, please. You hurt me too. Projection. Instead of objection, that's projection. Hannah says, you hurt me. Jake says, I don't want to be alone forever. Hannah says, you won't be. You'll find someone. Jake says, no, I won't. I want no one else. I want you. Hannah said, I'm sorry I'm sorry you pushed me away. Jake says, then how can I bring you back? And Hanna May, you can't. Good for her. March 20th, 2015. Jake, are you with a guy? Hannah says, I'm asleep. Jake says, me and Suds would love to be a family right now. Always bringing the kid in. That's a little guilt tactic, by the way. Hannah says, oh. Jake says, you have until tomorrow night. The choice should not be hard. If you don't come back by the deadline, I will probably cry a little because I know you're gone forever. And he puts a sad face. You're going to lose me forever, Hannah. Don't you feel anything for me? Suds likes Caesar's salads. Hannah says, I know. Jake says, stop annoying me, Hannah. Do you not want to be with me? Hannah says, obviously I done left. Jake says, but do you not want to be with me forever? Hannah says, whatever. I left because of all you did. Jake says, but I'm sorry though. At this point, y'all, Miss Julia, she'd been reading these things so long, she starts coughing. And it's one of those poor coughs that you cannot stop. And you're probably thinking to yourself, I'm about to throw up on camera in front of jurors. She was hacking up a lung, drinks her water, and then bless it, when she starts back reading, it's kind of sounds like She's been crying. And I just love Julia, but she's had some rough moments up on that stand, guys. Hang on. Make sure I don't pull a Julia. I hope she comes back because I like her. Okay. So Jake says, so please before it's too late. Hanna says, no. Jake says, no, you won't come back, or no, it's not forever. And Hanna says, I'm not coming back right now. Jake says, because you won't have me anymore. I don't know when you will regret it, but you will. Hanna said, you pushed me away. Jake said, and I told you I was sorry and we can make it work. Hanna says, no. Jake says, it's a real sorry, not a fake sorry. Hanna says, you've laid your hands on me before. Do you think I would believe you wouldn't again? You used to smack me in the face for cursing. Jake says, I don't know what to tell you. I don't smack you anymore. And yes, I will never do that again. Oh, he would have. He did worse, as we all know. Hanna says, but you did smack me and you did lay your hands on me. It hurts. That's all. I thought I could trust you. You proved me wrong. Jake said, I thought I could trust you never to leave. Hanna said, obviously not. March 21st, 2015, Hanna says, Jake says, Hanna, you only have 4 hours. Honey, please, it's almost too late. Please tell me something. Hanna says, is it? I told you, I walked away. Jake says, please give me your answer in the morning. Hanna said, okay, I walked away. Why can't you accept that? Jake said, because I can't. Jake said, also, I can never have a son without you. I only have Suds half the time. I would have my other kids all the time, which would make Suds think I love my other kids more than her. So I will not take that chance with that. So I'll never have a son without you, and I'll never love someone else. You're the only one. So please come back. Let's be a family. Hanna says, I don't want to come back. I want to finish getting my life on track. Jake says, you are an hour to time. It's now or never. You can still get your GED and college and job. Hanna says, no, I cannot. When I come back, you would do the same thing. You're right, Hanna. Smart girl to be so young. Smart girl. She knows it's a cycle. It doesn't end. And if you guys, any of you out there are in a relationship like this, get out while you can. Whatever you have to do, whoever you have to stay with, things don't change. They get worse. And then we end up a lot of times talking about it on here. Know your worth. You are worth so much more. Jake says, what, Hanna says, no, I cannot. When I come back, you would do the same thing. Jake said, what would I do? Hanna says, be mean to me. Jake says, no, I want. And why can't you go to college and get a job with me? See, he wants her all the time. Like, he wants her with him, job, after work, in the morning, so he can keep an eye on her. Jake says, Hanna says, because you wouldn't let me when I was there to start with. Jake says, Hanna, I don't want to be alone, so please don't ignore me. Hanna says, you did it to yourself. Jake says, I hope you understand what happens after today. Hanna says, I understand what happens. I understand. Jake says, if you tell me no, Hanna, one day you will ask me and I will have to tell you no. I don't want that. And don't ask me why. I've sent you all the texts telling you why. Hanna says, I've walked away. Jake says, it's just as easy to walk back. Hanna says, or stay where I am. Jake says, or walk back. Hanna says, or stay where I am. You pushed me there. Jake says, or walk back here and we can be happy. Hanna says, I'll never be happy there. Jake says, Hanna, I was only a jerk when I asked you for help and you never helped me. Hanna said, I told you I walked away for a reason. I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. I still want to be friends for the sake of Sophia and get along. Jake says, if we are going to work it out, Hanna said, I told you, no, it won't work. Jake said, then it's never, and no, I won't be your friend. Hanna says, why? Are you still watching Sophia this Saturday? Jake says, because if you don't want 100%, you ain't getting 25%. March 26, 2015. Jake says, if you love or miss me at all, you'd want to get back together. Hannah says, Jacob, I don't want another relationship now. No. Jake says, why not? Hannah said, you destroyed me. You didn't hurt me. You destroyed me. I said I was sorry. Hannah said, and you would do it again. March 30th, Hannah says, I done told you I wasn't coming back at this point. Jake said, what point will you? Hannah said, I'm scared that the past will repeat itself. Jake said, it won't as long as I live. Hannah said, I'm sorry. Jake said, besides, I got you a frying pan. Hannah said, so? He says, can't shoot through cast iron. Yeah, can't shoot through cast iron. He said that. Hannah said, ha ha. Jake said, you said you would get her farm animals and teach her responsibilities. You need to keep your word. Stop ignoring me. Hannah said, I'm not. Jake said, and don't pawn Suds off. You work with her so she learns. Hannah says, I know. Jake says, then do it. I put Suds first. I teach her everything. I look for everything that could be dangerous and prevent her from any harm, physically, sexually, mentally. My life is devoted to be the best father I can be. I expect the same out of you. Hannah says, okay. Jake says, so you're going to make sure Suds is safe? When are you going to get her animals to take care of? She needs a chicken, a duck, a cow, and a pot-bellied pig. And Hannah puts on there, LOL. Jake said, I'm serious, unless you want her to come here every day to do chores. Hanna May says, are you going to buy them? Jake says, because you ain't coming back, I don't want Suds to be a city slicker. So you need to raise her in the same environment she is here. Hannah said, oh? Jake said, stop saying oh and talk. Hannah said, she is an English bulldog. And Jake says, that's not a farm animal. Hannah says, what? Jake says, I only want you or your mom to watch Suds. I don't want Suds around Aunt Joe or April too much or at Frankie's house. Hannah says, they're my family. Jake said, Joe is crazy. Hannah says, bye. Jake says, why do you really want Suds to do all that? Do you really want Suds to do all that you did? Well, I'm protecting Suds, Hannah. Why don't you do the same? Hannah says, no, I don't, but you're practically calling my family trash. Jake said, text me, Hannah. You know the type of woman I want Sophie to become, and that will only happen if we put 110% into it, Hannah. Jake says, you know, all I have is Sophie, my only baby. I can't have no more. No son, no nothing. I have to raise Suds my way. And no, I can't have more kids because Suds will think I love the others more than her, and I won't take that chance. Hanna May says, you can have more children. Jake says, no, I can't. Hannah says, I want more kids when I get in my 30s. Jake says, well, I'm protecting Suds, Hannah. Why don't you do the same? Jake says, I won't let you turn Suds into your mom. She will be a hardworking, independent, lolly, faithful, strong Christian country farm girl. And I can't have more unless they're with you. Hannah says, I don't know. I don't want any kids right now or one night stands. So obviously anybody, nobody. Jake said, you don't even love Suds enough to keep our family together till she's 18. Hannah says, Jacob, it's not about that. I don't want to be with someone whom I am scared of that you will lay your hands on me again. Jake said, stop cussing, and no, I won't. Your mom probably told you to say that. Your mom doesn't want us together. I bet she doesn't even want me to have Suds. So March 31st, 2015, Hannah says, do not call me. I just got her to sleep. Jake says, sorry, I need to talk to you about Easter. Hannah says, oh. Jake said, yeah, so we're going to Granny B's around 4. So me and Suds will wake up at 8 and you can come pick us up. Cons to Easter. Hannah said, oh, okay, not us. We aren't together. Jake says, holidays, Hannah. I'm spending the whole day with her. Jake says, it won't be awkward to you. Hannah says, we aren't together. Jake said, we are both Suds' parents, so we are going to be with her together with her on the holidays. Hannah, stop ignoring me about this. It's about Sophia. You've got to be an adult talking about this. Hannah said, I'm talking to my dad. Jake said, Hannah, she ain't going to daycare. Hannah says, You're not my boss. Jake says, I'm not your boss, but Suds ain't going to daycare. Hanna, answer the phone and talk to me. Hanna says, you're not the choice maker. I am. Period. Point blank. Jake says, why are you ignoring me, Hanna? And why are you even thinking about daycare? April 4th, 2015. Jake says, if you move on, Hanna, you done did. Hanna says, no, I haven't. I'm perfectly fine being by myself. Jake says, you moved on from me. Hanna said, okay, I didn't move on to a new relationship. I just need to clear my head. Jake says, what does that mean? Hanna says, I need to figure out what I want. Jake says, if you decide you ever want me, I'm just telling you, I'm never leaving my farm. April 17th, 2015, nearly a year and a few days before the murders. Jake says, why not, Hanna? Hanna says, I don't know. Well, I'm not signing any papers, period. Jake said, what papers? The only thing we signed was the 50-50. That's it. And you're going to read it before we can sign it. I'll bring my computer when I pick her up tomorrow so you can read it. Hanna says, I don't have to sign it. Jake says, do you want to write it out yourself? So on June 9th, 2015, Jake says, why are you ignoring me? Did I not mean anything to you? Don't you love me, miss our love? Hanna, tell Suds I love her and I still love you, though I think you don't love me. Hanna says, I don't want to be with you. I have other things to worry about. Sorry. Jake says, what did I do wrong? Oh, let's count the ways, Jake Wagner. Really? But it's typical narcissistic behavior. I didn't do anything wrong. You're a bad mom. You cuss. You do this. It's you in a bad sense, and always me in a good sense with him. Do you mean you never want me back? Hanna said, I just don't want to be with you. You have Brianna anyways. Not right now. Sorry. Hanna says, because I don't want a relationship. Oh, no. Jake says, I want to talk to Sophie. Hanna, if you don't want me, you could at least tell me why. Hanna says, because I don't want a relationship. You hurt me mentally, physically, and emotionally. You have Brianna, so you'll be fine in due time, child. I love that. Jake says, I'm sorry. I just need to know if you do want me. I don't care when. I just want you. Hanna says, I'm sorry. I lied. Jake says, just talk to me. And Hanna says, no. Jake says, I need to have one more talk with you about us, and I won't bother you again till you're ready or if you want me, but we do need to talk about other stuff. I got a lot of papers we need to fill out for the lawyer about child support and income. And then it says sex. Hanna, tell Suds I love her and answer the question, please. Hanna said, I told you I wasn't signing a paper, that it was a waste of money. Jake says, Hanna, we talked about this last time you were here. I know you still love me, and I know for sure you still love Vine. I think you still love my family, but if you make me fight over my half, you will lose your right to see Vine and lose me forever. Just text me the truth. It hurts, but it's better than being lied to. Hanna said, the truth does hurt, but it's better than being lied to. Of course, I don't want to sign Sophia over. I'm her mother. Don't you have Brianna? Jake says, I don't have her, Hanna. I want you, but you don't want me, and Suds is half mine. And if you want me, just tell me. Then Jake says, I could die. I mean, what a life without the only one you love. Hanna says, not your farm, and it's a living hell. Jake said, what's a living hell? Living without the one you love? And Hanna says, yeah, you would say so. June 10th. So we are at the point now to where we are 100% 10 months away from the murders. Jake says, tell Suds I love her and whatever. Tab tells you I don't care. If it's what she likes to eat, we need to know. This is about Bulvine. So please promise me you will. You got a picture of the message of Tabby saying she smokes pot? If you do, I need it. Resend it, please. It's very important. Hanna says, I know you're probably setting me up as well. Jake says, no, I'm not. Why would you even say that? I want you to come home, Hanna. I love you. And Hanna says, yeah, whatever. June 12th, 2015, Jake says, tell Suds I love her and I miss her. What time do I get her tomorrow? Hanna says, what time was she picked up last Saturday, 3:00? Jake said, we do everything we agreed on and put in that paper. Hannah said, I never agreed to anything on paper. That's where you're wrong. I haven't signed anything and I won't be signing anything. I'm being fair. So at this point, I see no reason for me to even think about signing a paper. You get her with no problems. And you have the younger teenage girl being sensible, understanding that even though her and her dad don't get along, the adult thing to do is put that aside and let him see his daughter. June 24th, 2015, Jake says, we'll send it and passwords. Help protect your nephew and stop acting like this. Stop living day to day. Live for the future. That's what I do. I could say without a doubt, I'm the best father in the world. Can you say the same about yourself? If the answer is no, then fix it. One of the things we have to change is to become the example Suds needs. I don't want to be the better parent, Hannah. I want us to be equal. Tell Suds I love her and miss her. So this next one is July of 2015. If you do the math, this is around the month Hannah May gets pregnant with Kylie May. Jake says she has not put her hand in her poop in a couple of weeks. Hannah said, Jake, yes. And where did she learn it? Jake said, are you saying you don't want her to be around Vine? Hannah said, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying she needs to be corrected when she doesn't. I wouldn't take her away from Vine. Jake says, well, good. I so spank her. By the way, do you make her help with work, chores? She helps me, and I want her to learn to be a hard worker. Do you read your Bible? And do you tell Suds about Jesus? Hannah says, I tell her about God. I don't read my Bible much. You know that. But she helps clean the house. And she destroys it, and I clean it again. Jake said, we'll make her clean it with you. Hannah says, we sleep together. We put her toys up. Then Jake says, I want her to be like me religiously and the will to work like I do. You can't tell me this is a bad thing either, and you should want the same thing. July 11th, 2015, and you let that pothead around my daughter. Hannah says, he doesn't smoke pot. I lied about that. Jake said, you let him around Sophie. I'm thinking at this point, this is Charlie Gilly because this is the month she gets pregnant. So Hannah says, he doesn't come to my house. Jake said, that was not my question. Hannah says, he doesn't come here. That's my answer. Jake says, do you let him around her? Hannah says, I'm going to bed, Jacob. I don't have time for your drama. I want a happy life with someone who doesn't abuse me. Jake says, if you do, that's fine, but I'm having a talk with him about Suds. Hannah says, I just want to be happy, okay? Jake says, if I can't make you happy, but we have to make it work for Suds. But he is not her father. I am. Hannah says, I know he isn't her father. Okay, why does it matter who I'm with? Jake said, it don't. But I still expect you to be a part of Vine's life and for me and you to get along, and you still have a year. Hannah said, I know you'll find someone. I want to be part of Vine's life. If you hadn't been lying and stopped stalking my page, or I'll block all of you. Jake says, no, I'm not lying. I haven't lied. You're still part of my life. I got libetes. Libetes. I need to do a Pretty Lie shirt, something with libetes. Y'all get creative and help me with the saying. So, where was I? Hannah says, so I don't go on your page of your personal life. It's none of my business. The only thing that is my business is Sophia. Jake says, okay, that's fine, but you still need to be an example for Suds. You're her mother. Hannah says, I know, as I'm trying to be the best mother, better than ever. Jake says, I want to be proud to call you her mother, Hannah. I'm the best father, and you can't deny that. Please become the best mother for Suds. Hannah says, why wouldn't you be proud? Jake says, I could be if you was an example, but you smoke, you chew, you cuss. Hannah says, I chew. Get it right. I don't cuss unless I'm mad. There are some pictures on her Instagram. She got a big old wad of chew in her mouth, which is common for areas like that from what I've heard. I've talked to locals who say a lot of women chew. I've seen it around here. So I'm not judging. I don't chew. Jake says, you act like a teenager when you don't have Suds. Newsflash, Jake, you got a teenager pregnant and she's still a teenager. Hannah says, not anymore. I got to stay at Chelsea's, but barely. Jake says, well, I hope you're not lying, but you still need to work on it. Hannah says, I'm not lying. Jake says, be a better Christian. Hannah says, I need to start going to church. Jake says, if you want me to like Charlie, take him to church. Hannah says, you have room to talk. You don't go to church. Jake says, the typical thing every relapse, backlap, what do they call it? Backsliding Christian. I'm trying to find one. But what I'm saying, if you ain't coming back to me, whoever you're with, we need to get along. But you need to ask yourself before you do anything in life, what would God think of me if I do this? And that applies to everything we do. Just curious if after he watched the ding dong scene from the Boondock Saints, before he went and murdered 8 people, if he thought to himself, what would God think of me? Because I don't think he did. Big hypocrite. Jake said, it's just a life lesson. It will make you a better Christian. Hannah says, the same goes for your girlfriend. Jake says, I don't have one. Or are you talking about when I get one? Hannah says, when you get one, because I know your mom will find you one. I ain't that stupid. Jake said, I done told mom I don't want one till you're sure you don't want me. Hannah said, oh, so she's done offered. Hannah said, no, I told her Jake says, no, I told her when you left. Hannah says, oh. Jake says, Mom, no, I'll ask her when I'm ready, but you have a year, and that's how long I'll wait. What's crazy is in a year, they would all be dead. All the Rodens would be dead. So Jake's saying he'll wait a year, and Hannah says, without sex? Yeah, right. Jake said, I said a girlfriend. Hannah said, exactly. Jake said, I'm not looking for it anymore, though. Hannah says, you was, though. Look, live your life. You're young. Jake says, I'm a father, Hannah. I work all week, raise Suds, repeat. I don't want him around Suds naked. Hannah says, she always has her clothes on, I swear. And Jake says, oh, so you have had him around her. Hannah says, not really. Jake says, what happened to what we agreed upon? Hannah said, what? Jake said, if we have a boyfriend and girlfriend are not to know Sophie. Hannah says, okay, I won't bring her around him anymore, although she's known him since she was little. Jake said, it don't matter till he's a permanent figure in your life. He is not to be around her, and that goes for you bringing him around Frankie. Hannah said, okay. Jake says, I mean it, Hannah. Now can I trust you? Hannah says, yes. Jake says, you need to understand he's a guy, and he could rap Suds. Boyfriend or not, you watch him. Hannah says, I understand that, Jake. And Jake says, and don't tell me you trust him. We have a girl. We don't trust no one. You got raped, Hannah, because someone was not paying attention. I will not let Suds have the same thing happen to her. I will watch and guard her whole life. Hannah says, I will guard her with my life, Jake. Don't bring up my past. It makes me really sad. Jake said, you need to see your past to prevent it from happening to her. And I'll be watching over her more than you because you will have a job. You should be happy I'm able to be around her that much. July 13th. Hannah asks, what is she doing? Jake says, cooking breakfast. Hannah says, Sophie is? Keep her away from grease. And Jake says, wow, like I would let her get burned. Hannah said, I'm just saying, keep her safe, like you tell me. Jake says, yeah, but you don't have to worry when I have her, and you know that. Hannah says, I don't care. I don't want her to get hurt. Jake says, I won't let her get hurt. So then we have a cross-exam by Nash after all these texts are read. Those are screenshots. They came as part of the backup. They were obtained from Angela's laptop. And Julia says, it's a Wagner laptop. They all kind of used it. He asked about the GoFundMe for the Sophia Wagner custody fee. The goal was $20,000, and he hands her what Jake put on there. So I'm going to read it to you real quick, and then we're done. It says, tell your story. Jake wrote, my daughter is Sophia Wagner. She is also the daughter of Hannah Roden. Unfortunately, Hannah Roden was one of the victims of the Roden family in Pike County, Ohio, where 8 members of the same family were murdered. Before the death of Sophia's mommy, I only had my daughter half the time. I wish I could have had her more, but Hannah and I were separated. Now I need help financially with all the attorney fees and expenses and extras to help her cope with the loss of her mommy and to acquire full custody of her. She's only 2.5 years old. These are not expenses I was supposed to have. I was just supposed to be able to spend time with her and give her a happy childhood. Now I have to work extra hours and don't get to see her as much. She is sleeping when I leave for work and usually asleep when I get home. Weekends are all we basically have. Sophia and I are just asking for enough to settle the fees that we acquired due to the horrific tragedy to her mommy. We want to get our lives back. I hate to see my daughter cry. He shows her some photos, Nash does, a screenshot of the laptop from that brick house security bug detector, and asks about the email associated with it. It was that Wagner common email. She said it was listed as the home email, but she can say she only used it. She can't say only Angela used it. So that's it for tonight, guys. It is 10:30, so I hope everybody has a good sleep tonight, and we will see you tomorrow to close out this week of the Wagner trial. Have a good night.